Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. We will get started in about 4 minutes. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Marketplace Risk webinar series. My name is Andrea, and I'm the Director of Events and Operations at Marketplace Risk. The Marketplace Risk platform is the most comprehensive source of education, networking, and information sharing for marketplace startups in the sharing economy. As a part of the Marketplace Risk platform, the webinar series is designed to present content for marketplace startups in the sharing economy from industry leaders, peers, and experts. For more information about Marketplace Risk and all of the resources available on the Marketplace Risk platform, go to marketplacerisk.com or find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter with handle @marketplacerisk. And be on the lookout for more information about the newly announced Marketplace Risk Masters program, an exclusive virtual platform designed to equip cross-functional teams to identify, predict, and mitigate risk remotely. The Masters program enables us to deliver high-fidelity risk management, trust and safety, and legal strategy content from industry leaders, peers, and experts. Without further ado, we're very excited about today's webinar, 4 must-have requirements for marketplace partner payments with Anand Misra of Tipalti. Before we get started, I want to go over a couple of housekeeping items. First, this webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be available to you to access on the Marketplace Risk website as early as today. Second, all attendees have listening capabilities only and are otherwise muted. Third, we encourage you to submit your questions via the control panel. If we have time at the end, we will answer as many as we can. If we don't get to your questions, please feel free to email us at info@marketplacerisk.com and we'll get your questions answered. One other thing by way of a disclaimer, this presentation has been prepared for informational purposes only and is not legal advice by the Marketplace Risk team or the presenters. The material discussed during this webinar should not be construed as legal advice or legal opinion on any specific issue. The content is intended for general information purposes only, and we urge you to consult a lawyer concerning your own situation and any specific legal questions you may have. You may always feel free to reach out to us at info@marketplacerisk.com, and we can put you in touch with the appropriate professional. Now, we're very excited about our webinar today. I'm pleased to hand things over to our speaker. Anand, over to you.
Thanks, Andrea. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, 4 must-have requirements for marketplace partner requirements, or payments, I should say. My name is Anand Misra, and I'm the Director of Partner and Product Marketing at Tipalti. So just to provide a quick overview about Tipalti, so Tipalti provides a unified global payable solution to ensure businesses to automate and scale their payables effortlessly as their businesses grow and become global. So we are a leader in mass pay and have many companies in the marketplaces and gig economy sector. But before I start, I would like to provide an overview about today's topic. We all know that gaining and maintaining loyalty from freelancers and crowd partners is critical to marketplace success, and there is extensive competition for partners. These service providers expect compelling revenue for their efforts, but also need to trust that they will be paid. This webinar shares key research on what partners want and the best approaches to deliver a world-class payments experience. I will also talk about what organizations need to survive and succeed, especially given the current market situation, and how they can transform their underlying payables productivity and cost structure. And after that, Sean Clem, Tipalti's Director of Solution Consulting, who you can see on the screen, will show you a demo of the Tipalti solution, highlighting the capabilities that will help you manage and streamline your payables operations, including partner management, while ensuring that you're on top of your operations while working from home as well. But before we get into the 4 must-have requirements for marketplace partner payments, I wanted to talk about how your organizations can survive and succeed in the current economic situation. For that, you must ensure that you transform your core payables productivity and cost structure. Now is the time to rethink how you will operate and make commitment to lasting gains. And to do this effectively, you need to find ways to deliver more with less and apply smart cost and working capital controls while ensuring work from home productivity and addressing the operational needs and the risks that come along with it. So in order to do that, first you have to deliver more with less, right? So you have to be more efficient. And you can do that by eliminating the workload spent managing payables with smart automation. There are technologies currently available which eliminate around 80% of your manual payables workload, such as managing partners, global payments, reducing payment errors, etc. Next, if you're global, you have to streamline global operations by ensuring that cross-border payments, different entities, different currencies that you're managing globally can be handled in a single service, which can provide a consolidated view at the headquarter level as well. You also have to invest in a cloud solution, and there are not too many on-premise solutions out there in the market anyways, but cloud solutions help you get up and running quickly with minimal upfront costs. But you also have to ensure that it's a platform that provides end-to-end functionalities such as partner management, ensuring tax compliance, global payments, payment reconciliation, and reporting with financial controls. And if you don't do this, then you end up with islands of automation or multiple disparate solutions, which have then become difficult to manage, integrate, and upgrade. So look for a comprehensive solution to manage and automate your payables operations. In order to ensure smart cost and cash flow controls, you have to eliminate payables costs. So as an example, you can incentivize your payees to move off costlier and manual payment methods such as paper checks and wire transfer and shift to US or global ACH or e-checks. You can also reduce payment errors and bank fees by ensuring proper supplier information is collected and validated upfront. You can gain from optimizing operations. So as an example, you can generate revenue from payables with early payments offers to your partners. You can also save on foreign exchange conversions by moving to a provider that does the FX conversion for you versus negotiating with banks where you may not get the best rates in many cases. One of the other ways that you can gain from optimizing operations is by avoiding non-compliance penalties, which are not necessary at all. So tax penalties, GDPR penalties, if you're collecting data from EU countries, by ensuring that your software and vendor is GDPR compliant, and then eliminating fraud losses and regulatory fines with proactive identification of fraudsters you don't want to pay who are on the OFAC or the anti-money laundering list, and all the sanction screening that come up with it, basically. So those are fees and penalties that are avoidable, basically, and you can avoid it with a platform that does all the checks for you. And last but certainly not the least is to ensure that your system is optimized to work from home with all the controls that are built in. For that, you have to ensure that your company follows proper payment approval workflows with built-in approvals for exceptions. You also have to have audit trails to ensure strong governance so you can manage payables across global entities. For that, you must have a cloud solution with anytime, anywhere availability for performing all payables operations remotely. In order to avoid security breaches and ensure peace of mind, your system has to be equipped with multi-factor authentication and IP restrictions. All data needs to be protected and encrypted with role-based security, access, and audit trails. Your system must have the redundancy, disaster recovery, and data backups to ensure a business continuity. So these are some of the important ways to ensure that you can survive and succeed in the current economic situation with the platform or the vendor that you have currently that you use. So it's highly likely that crowdsourcing and online marketplaces will become crowded, pun intended, basically, essentially due to their popularity, even in the current scenario. Over the last several weeks, we have been seeing or hearing of many crisis-related marketplaces being opened, ranging from selling gift cards and getting rid of surplus items to entrepreneurs offering their expertise and skill sets to other entrepreneurs in need. And just a few years ago, such a thing would have been impossible in many cases. But in this sudden and unprecedented crisis, we are seeing people turn to technology that they now have available on their phones, laptops, and other devices, and accessing goods and services in a way that trend watchers call it revolutionary, not evolutionary. Reduced incomes and layoffs could also lead to an increase in those working in the gig economy, piecing together work by tutoring, babysitting, caring for seniors, essentially a career that might become a reality for many. According to Marianne Olson, a gig economy expert, gig workers could be the first to lose their jobs in this crisis since they are part of the flexible workforce. After that, some affected employees will lay off permanent staff as well, and we see this happening more and more now. She goes on to say that when society and the economy bounce back, this group will be bigger since companies will most probably not offer permanent contracts, which is to say that former employees now become full-time gig workers as well. Marianne also adds that the experienced gig workers will become increasingly attractive as some of the companies start to reinvest and build their businesses. So if you look at your screen, this is an ecosphere of the marketplace environment before the current crisis. And as you can see, it's packed and may become more crowded when the situation gets back to normal. The growth then becomes a double-edged sword. On the one hand, the marketplaces will grow since there'll be demand. On the other hand, there'll be a lot of competition, not only from other players as well, but for partners who are working with multiple marketplaces. So it goes to say, without saying, that you have to be on top of your competition, but also on top of how you attract and then retain partners, which is becoming harder and harder to do. You have to provide your partners with great experience across various touch points when interacting with your business. And those who can achieve it will be the ultimate winners in the space. Going global is another interesting trend. Most marketplaces, especially which are VC funded and have unicorn aspirations, whether it's today or in the future, they will expand globally. Not just the demand side of it, but from the partner side as well. Going global has its advantages, especially in capturing new markets. It also has advantages in terms of attracting global partners. You can expand your pool of partners. There is the element of around-the-clock availability to meet the demands of your customers. And cost margins are better in most cases, and there is diversity of offerings when you go global. And you can offer more choice. However, there are significant challenges when expanding globally as well. There is process complexity, there are scaling issues, there are risks and regulations such as tax, financial, and other regulatory complexities, and we will cover a little bit in detail as we go along in the presentation. So the question is, why does a best-in-class partner experience matter? It matters for a few reasons. Firstly, partners are customer-facing and affect your brand, whether positively or negatively, and marketplaces live and die by their brands. Second, marketplaces are becoming more competitive and need to attract and retain best partners. And third, partner choice is costly. We also talked about why the various touch points that you have with your partners are critical. The payments experience with your marketplace is, in our opinion, actually it's not an opinion but a fact, that the payments experience is the most important element to attracting and retaining partners. In our research, we discovered that 74% of partners say they would have or have dropped a marketplace because of payment issues. Yet if you look at it in the last 12 months, 55% of them say that they've experienced late payments. And this is a big disconnect there. So when I say payments, it's not just about the point at which they are paid, but across different touch points with your organization. Things such as offering payment method choices, notifying partners when there is a change in status or when there is a payment issue, offer early payment programs, and overall making their payments experience seamless and eventless. So not only do partners expect compelling revenue for their efforts, but they also need to trust that they will be paid. In essence, satisfaction is critical to sustaining loyalty and attracting partners. And I would venture to say that it's relatively easy to achieve that part of your equation, namely a great payments experience. So what are the key payment must-haves? So number one, you must adopt a lean philosophy. So before you can endeavor to go global, and even working with your domestic partner base, you have to shore up your processes. Many of you, unless you have a huge round of funding, are probably smaller but fast-growing companies. You are going to be conscious of your cost, especially now, and figure out how to operate in lean way rather than hire a lot of money to hire resources and staff as you go along. And in the realm of payments, automation has a big benefit. Partner payments has traditionally been solved by bringing people in, and it takes a lot of manual effort to do it. It takes a lot of effort to collect information from partners to make them payable, which itself is a huge effort. Then the team of resources are asked to manage the various payment accounts, wires, ACH, PayPal, e-check, you name it. And at the end of the month, then you have to roll it all back up together in a general ledger and then integrate with your accounting systems. This does not include partner communication and interaction relating to missed or late payments, changes in partner data, which all adds up to the manual and error-prone processes. If you're currently global or looking to expand, your partners would expect payments in the local currency and via the payment method of their choice. All this, including partner notifications, onboarding, and communication, can be automated relatively easy, saving you both the headache and the resources while eliminating errors at your end as well. So number two on the payment must-haves is developing cross-border intelligence. Mass payouts are complex at a domestic level, but with international expansion comes global payment issues. Making mass payments is not a simple task. In competitive verticals like online marketplaces, partner retention and attraction require a sophisticated and reliable payments workflow. As the volume of mass payments increase, payment error risk grows exponentially. So let's say that your partner base is 1,000 people and that you pay every month and you have a 3% error rate, which is the standard in the mass pay industry. That is 30 errors per month. And if you are spending an hour each to resolve and investigate and fix those errors, that can add up really quickly. and that does not include the damage to your reputation, which is a soft cost. Many early stage companies turn to products like PayPal's MaskPay to make global payouts, and which can generally be a good product for remittance purposes, but it can be limiting as payment volume and number of payees across the globe increases. Tipalti estimates that there are about 26,000 global payment rules for paying suppliers outside the US. Knowing the proper global method to use in a given situation is not a small task. Each method requires a different path for collecting payment details, understanding payment rules, adding or editing data, and actual funding and remittance operations. In some cases, individual portals are required to interface with various payment processes. So you need cross-border payment intelligence that truly understands how to get funds to all the various partners all over the globe. Number 3 on the list of payment must-haves, deliver a best-in-class payments experience. You're not just automating your side of the operations. Automation happens on the partner side as well. If you're still onboarding partners through email or through manual methods, scalability and errors are going to be an issue. And for the partners in other countries, it can be frustrating and insecure. That's where a branded partner portal comes in, right? So why branded? Not only does it associate partners with your brand, it provides a level of trust with you. For both domestic and cross-border partners, they want to make sure that you're a legitimate business. A comprehensive partner portal is a part of that experience. So the portal offers a way to standardize input, and it puts the onus of data entry on the partner, not your staff. This is especially important when time to enter the payment details. You want to ask the country of the partner, then present them with the payment options that might work for them. And remember the 26,000 payment rules that I mentioned in the last slide. Your portal needs to incorporate these rules to ensure that payment details like PayPal addresses or bank routing or wire transfer information are asked. The portal can also be the way to capture tax details, which I'll cover in the next slide, and you will see in the demo when Sean does it as well. Internet and portals are 24/7, right? So for partners, it means that they can provide and update that information whenever they want. More importantly, the portal acts as a two-way communication method. Remember that 74% would leave you because of payment issues and 55% of them experience late payments. Whereas payment is the most common inquiry businesses get, and with the portal connected to payment data, none of your staff ever needs to answer a phone or respond to email. Instead, partners can log in and view the payment status whenever they want via the portal. Portals can also be localized, so there's no language barriers that have to be overcoming. And that's not easy to do via email or via phone. Number four payment must-have is be tax compliant. So I mentioned partner tax data collection in the last slide, and we're talking about W-9 forms, but we're also talking about the lesser known W-8 series of forms and VAT IDs or value-added tax IDs for payments made to partners outside the United States. The IRS is getting very serious about collecting taxes. Well, it always was very serious. And while it may seem like a million miles away from crowdsourcing and online marketplace partners, it's actually not. The IRS is aggressively pursuing withholding agents compliance, which is due, and have trained over 3,000 examiners and have created a national team to assist the auditors with routine implementation of these audits. They have also created offices exclusively to deal with compliance related to non-US person withholdings, which is again you if you pay payees outside of the US. And the penalty is not on the payee, it's on the payer. And it can be quite high. So by all means, get verified partner tax details during onboarding. Don't wait until the end of the year when the partner may have moved or may have stopped working with you. Make it a part of the process and make sure that you require all the payees to fill out tax forms and provide their VAT or local tax ID as a part of self-registration. The more you automate the process, the better it is. This helps you rest easy knowing that your operation is always up to date with the latest US tax laws. So here is an example of one of our customers who has benefited from Tipalti. So SmartShoot is a technology platform that connects brands with professional photographers and videographers to produce custom photos and videos. So they have a network of thousands of freelancers to making thousands of payments for clients every month. And after automating partner payments with Tipalti, they were able to free up 24 days a year. They added tax compliance to satisfy partners as well as the IRS. They experienced 2,000% growth in jobs or projects and managed that growth without adding any payables or finance staff. And that's a huge ROI. And then finance team is now able to focus on more value-added tasks. So just to recap the 4 payment must-haves: live by a lean philosophy by automating operational tasks. Develop cross-border intelligence so you truly understand how to get funds to all the various partners across the globe. Third, retain partners with a great experience. Partners are customer-facing and affect your brand, whether positively or negatively. And as I mentioned earlier, marketplaces live and die by their brands. Ensure tax compliance and don't wait till the end. So just to wrap up before the demo, here is a sample list of our customers ranging from fast-growing startups to established companies across different industries that benefit from Tipalti. And we have many resources dedicated to get our customers up and running quickly and to assist as they encounter new needs or as the business grows as they go global. And the ongoing supports that our clients receive and the breadth of our offering is why we have a 98% customer retention and satisfaction rate. So with that, I will hand it over to Sean to show you a demo of the Tipalti solution. Sean, take it away.
Great, thanks Anand. So yeah, like he mentioned, I am going to share the Tipalti demo with you guys, and I'm just going to log into my environment called Eversky. So why this is important is because we are a white labeled solution. We can also embed this registration process into an existing web portal. So if you have an existing platform where folks from your marketplace, contributors, content creators, etc., are logging in to view things like their payment history, their revenue that they've earned or generated, and manage their profile, we can embed into that experience as well. What I'll show you today, though, is where we invite them and Tipalti hosts that portal. So to add a new supplier, we'd navigate to the Payees tab here and select to add a payee. From there, we just need some very basic information. Is this payee an individual or a company? We need a unique ID for them, email, and then their name. We also support a multi-entity global hierarchy, like Anand mentioned. So if you are located with multiple entities, you can set a default or a preferred entity for that particular payee as well. You can also indicate which language that payee would like to be communicated in. So if, again, from a global perspective, you can choose kind of how that email communication is sent to your payees as well as how they interact with the portal. And then you would invite those suppliers to the portal. And what that does is it kicks off a white labeled email inviting your suppliers or your payees, excuse me, to register. So the invitation would come here. I've done some very basic customization of this. These email inbox or these emails are all configurable. So the communication has your branding, it's coming from you. So that experience for your payees, obviously being very important, they're not interacting really with a third party. We're facilitating the communication in the background. This link here is tokenized, and we have two-factor authentication through the portal as well, so that your payees are providing that sensitive information through a secure platform. They'd follow this link in here, and then create a username and password and drive them to our 3-step onboarding process. And what we would collect here is address information, payment details, and tax information. The first step of the registration process, and you can see that this is the Eversky branding, again, a white labeled solution, and we can embed this 3-step process into your existing web application through the use of an iframe as well. The address is important for 2 reasons. Number 1, we do an OFAC check, which is the Office of Foreign Asset Controls here domestically in the US. as well as we pair that with some sanction screenings internationally to ensure that you aren't paying anyone that's on any sort of terrorist watch list or any bad actor that you shouldn't be paying. The second reason that the address is important is because where that payee is located, in this case in the US, drives their available payment methods. So at Tipalti, in addition to being a software provider, we are a licensed money transmitter. And so we are making and issuing payments on behalf of our customers. So there is a cost associated with that. We can pay into 190 countries through 120 currencies in 6 different payment methods. You can see here I'm showing ACH, wire, check, PayPal. International options we have as well are prepaid debit cards and local bank transfers, which is a more cost-effective way to move money overseas in comparison to a wire. These are all configurable as well in terms of what you show to your payees. So you can not show wires if you don't want to, you can not show checks if you don't want to, that's all up to you. Part of this as well is the collection and verification of information. So if I put in an invalid routing code here, for example, like I've just done, it's going to let me know right away that that's not valid. So I can't proceed forward as a payee until I've put in good information. And like Anand mentioned, from a controls and a security perspective, you don't want to have to spend time tracking down invalid information or trying to reverse payments that have gone out the door. That's a time-consuming and a costly process, so ensuring you're collecting good information up front is really very pivotal. If I update this last digit here, that error is going to clear. I know that's a valid routing code. I can proceed forward in my registration process. As I was mentioning, just like a bank, there are transaction fees. And so you can choose to, by payment method, absorb those fees. You can split those fees. You can push those fees off entirely onto the payees. Or if you wanted to, you could charge a margin for those fees as well. And that's all configurable by method. Thresholds can also be set up as well. If you want to raise those thresholds, lower those thresholds to whatever you might like to retain contributors to your platform. So in my demo environment here, I've absorbed transaction fees for ACH. However, I'm pushing my transaction fees for check off onto my payees. So I can say, hey, sure, I'll pay you with a check, but you're going to take that cost. So it allows for flexibility and it allows you to drive behavior toward more favorable methods for you. Things like PayPal, things like ACHs, things like bank transfers. And then the last piece of this registration process is the collection of tax forms. So I invited this payee from a US-based entity, therefore I need to collect US-based tax forms. For a domestic payee in the US like this one, I would need to collect a W-9. What we did to ensure compliance and to make sure that you're collecting all the necessary information is we worked very closely with KPMG to both digitize this process and to make sure we have the most updated forms that they're filling out electronically. So if I come in here and select a W-9, you can see that digitized form. As part of this, we call out required fields. We have help text throughout the process as well, really with the goal of making that onboarding experience for your payees who are so critical to your business a smooth and easy one. So we want to make sure we're collecting all the information, but we also want to do so in a way that's user-friendly, that's intuitive, and that makes sense. So we're calling out those required fields, we're doing help text, and then from a compliance perspective, we're also doing TIN validation. So on a nightly basis, we perform what's called bulk TIN matching with the IRS, where we take the SSN or EIN along with the legal name, and we bump that up against the IRS database and perform bulk TIN matching to ensure that those match. If they don't match, we'll proactively invalidate that tax form, again, helping to drive compliance and scalability on your side to ensure that you aren't filing any sort of invalid 1099s or at risk of any Series B IRS notices. Other things about this, there's the digital certification process. And then if you are going global, especially based in the US, you would need to collect global tax forms as well. And a lot of people don't know this, don't do this today. And there can be some change management around it. So what we built, again, in working with KPMG, is this short questionnaire that's related to tax that asks a series of yes/no questions to your payees, which can then drive them to an appropriate tax form. Now that tax form, in this case, is a W-8 Ben-E, which if you're collecting this now, you know is a long and confusing and cumbersome tax form. And so what we did again is digitized it. So we grouped it into 5 manageable sections, again, calling out required fields, populating help text where needed. And instead of a 14-page IRS form with 20+ pages of instructions and additional documentation, we just grouped that into 5 sections. We can also assist with withholding as well based on the income type and if there's any claims of treaty benefits due to their location as well. Again, driving compliance, driving scalability, and ensuring that you don't necessarily have to be the person that knows everything about everywhere that you're paying into. This portal is also available in multiple languages, like I mentioned. So you can see a quick drop down of all of those languages here. And that's all available out of the box so that your payees can interact with the portal in their native language as well. Last couple pieces here is the payment history. So your payees have the ability to see their payment history. They can see when they were paid, how much they were paid, what they were paid for. If there were any issues for their payments, they'd be able to see that as well, along with the method that they've chosen. This can all be exported to Excel, so they can take a look at that and see where that is in the process. If, for example, there was a deferred payment, like this payment here on September 11th, I can drill in and see why. So as a payee, I was not paid for this particular payment because my tax forms were not provided. So I couldn't be paid. So we're helping to drive adoption, to drive your payees to fill out all the necessary information in ensuring compliance on your side, which is very important. And that's really everything from the payees portal. So your contributors, your content creators, the folks who are in your marketplace generating you revenue, who have that very unique and important relationship of being critical and vital to your business, but also being folks that you pay. So now, how do the payments get into Tipalti? There are 2 ways for that to happen. It can be done through an API call. So if you have development resources and you're able to do that, you can push that information in through API, or it can be uploaded in a file. And there are 2 different files that can be uploaded. You can see here in the Tipalti AP Hub, which would be your internal landing page, we have both payments as a tab here, as well as bills. And in each of those tabs, you can upload a file. So if you wanted to upload a digital bills file that maybe required individual level approval, or potentially even your payees to approve that bill. So you've calculated what you owe them, and then they need to be paid. They can actually take part in that approval process and approve directly through their UI as well. Or you can just upload a payments file as well. So you can come into the system here and upload a payment file. Again, this is a CSV or a text file. And really all you need as part of this process is who that payee is, so their unique ID, the amount that they're due, and the currency that you're paying them in. And that's it, just 3 columns of data, and then you can proceed forward. Should you choose to use a potentially digital bills file, like I mentioned, you can include some more information, or more information might be required. But once those payments have come into the system, they can require additional approval. So if you want to, have some visibility into all of the payments before they're going out the door, you can see all that information here. So I have this payment batch that I've uploaded through a file of 17 different payments. And you can see when I drill in here that I've got several different currencies associated with this payment batch. So I've got Australian dollar, Brazilian real, Canadian dollar, euro, GBP, Israeli shekel, Singapore dollar, Indian rupee, US dollar, and Japanese yen all in the same batch. So if I look there, I see all of those different currencies all in one batch. I don't have to log into multiple banks to do that. I can do that all through one system. You can also see here that I have multiple different payment methods. All of my payment methods really are here. So I have e-check, I have PayPal, I have wires, I have my prepaid debit card, ACHs, checks, all in the same batch. So it's really your one-stop shop for executing all of those payments, both on a global and domestic scale. So that you don't have to manage multiple banking portals. You don't have to manage your own PayPal account. In addition to this, you don't have to manage keying in wires. And so from a time savings perspective, you're able to execute all of those payments through one system, and you're pushing the collection of information off onto your payees while still maintaining that same experience. From an approvals perspective, you can see here that this requires approval. What I can do as someone that is approving this batch is I can actually even cancel specific payments out of this batch. Maybe I want to defer that particular payment, but I still want to approve a batch. Unlike maybe a bank file where you would have to reject the entire batch and then re-upload a new batch, you're able to just do that right away. And then once you've approved, what you would do is execute the payment. So what Tipalti does is we set up 4 benefit of owner FBO accounts that are set up in your name on your behalf, leveraging our relationships with our tier 1 banking partners. So you can see here in my demo environment, I have 3 separate currencies set up. We support the setup of these in 30 plus different currencies, so that if you're sending a lot of money into Euro, if you're sending a lot of money into the UK or wherever it might be globally, we can also assist with that foreign exchange conversion, like Anand mentioned, streamlining that all through one platform, depending on your operating currency. And so once you have approved that payment batch, we would let you know exactly how much to fund, inclusive of any FX and or conversion fee and or transaction fees that may be applicable. And you would send in a single wire or ACH payment into this Tipalti virtual account. And as long as we have those funds by 11:30 a.m. Pacific, we'll process all of those transactions same day. So this is not a holding account. It's not an interest-bearing account. It's really just a vehicle for us to remit payments in bulk to your payees in the most efficient way possible. It also allows you to hold on to your capital as long as possible. So you can leverage the speed of a wire to fund that virtual account. And then as long as it lands by 11:30 a.m., we'll process those transactions on that exact day. And then the last piece here that I'd like to show is just some of the reporting capabilities that we have. So through the UI, you have access to various different reports. So your payment details, reconciliation reports, account reports, all of your payees, any payees that you've blocked or suspended, bills that you may have created, because we can process your regular AP as well. And then 1099 and 1042S prep forms. These are important, again, because we've collected those tax forms digitally. We're able to know what all the information is and able to use that in reports. And so we can aggregate that information, group those payments by month. We can indicate an income type for those particular payments as well, and really make sure that we're driving compliance on your end. Now, we don't file the tax forms for you, the 1099 or 1042S, but we provide all the preparation, including income type, including payment details grouped by month, and the information from their form. And we pull that down in a format that is suitable with the IRS. So with that, I think that mostly wraps up the demonstration in what I'd like to go through. And I believe we're going to open it up for questions if there were any questions.
Okay, awesome. Yes, thank you. I know we have a few questions. And again, if you think of any, please just submit them in the box. Let me get our first question. Okay, first question is, how is tax information collected and validated? I have international suppliers to pay and we struggle to collect tax information. How are W-8 forms handled?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, you just saw it in the system basically from our perspective. So we kind of like solve the complex and highly manual process of collecting tax through digital capture directly during onboarding flow, as Sean was showing. And we also ensure that it's validated before the payment is ever processed. So, and I talked about it, and one of the must-haves is basically ensuring tax compliance, which we do. And we have a KPMG approved basically engine that does that for you. And we applied thousands of rules, as Sean again showed it in the demo, including TIN matching. And in addition to supporting the W9, we also do the W8 Ben and Ben-E, which are basically complex forms. And like you saw in the demo, we break it into chunks for the partners to be filled out very easily, right? And we also do withholdings at the year end. For most of the people, generally, most of the tax collection and the withholdings is an afterthought. But it has to be upfront because the onus is on you basically as the payer to ensure that you collect the right amount of taxes, and then again you provide that information to the IRS, right? So you're on the hook for doing that essentially. Sean, anything to add to that?
No, I think you did a good job explaining that. During the registration process, we're proactive about collecting that information and ensuring the tax compliance. And we've simplified it for both you, the payer, as well as your payees. So ensuring that that experience is a positive one as they're going through the registration process.
Yeah, and the key lesson there basically here is, basically don't wait until the end of the year when the partner may have moved or stopped working with you essentially. So make it a part of the process and make sure that require all the partners working with you to fill out tax forms or provide their VAT or value-added tax or local IDs as a part of self-registration. And Sean showed that in the demo at the very beginning when the partner is basically onboarding to collect that information so that everything is up on the portal. And then you have access to it, basically, that you can easily get to it.
Awesome. Next question. Can you send cross-border payments?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no, and you can elaborate, but we do a great job of that. We can pay into 190 countries through 120 currencies, and we offer 6 different payment methods for cross-border payments. We can also assist with the foreign exchange conversion, whether they land in local currency or whether they land in your operating currency as well.
Yeah, I mean, as Sean was mentioning, that we are a licensed money transmitter. So we are regulated by the US Treasury Department. So basically it's riskless for anybody. And the key benefit, of course, with FX currency conversion is basically that if you're dealing with a bank, most small businesses are not able to negotiate the best rates. With Tipalti, basically with $10 billion worth of transactions flowing through the system, in all cases, we are able to, unless you're a large company, we are able to negotiate a better rate for you on the FX conversions as well. In addition to making it easy with a single system with all the transactions that are flowing through, instead of you having to manage multiple portals just for the purpose of payments on the FX side.
Awesome, thank you. What payment methods do you offer?
Yes, so we offer 6 payment methods, and as Sean was just talking about, basically on the ACH, wire transfer, global ACH or e-checks, paper checks, PayPal, and prepaid debit cards. And that is across, we offer in 120 currencies and basically across 190 countries you can pay through the system.
Great, next question. What are some of the Sorry, I'm rereading this. What are some of the complexities of paying out to overseas that your software handles?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it essentially, Andrea, and basically global payments can be complex, right? I mean, essentially knowing what payment methods require which fields is not easy. Sean showed an example, and one of the other examples is basically that I'm quite familiar with wire transfer to India, which requires things such as beneficiary bank information, ABA routing, or SWIFT or BIC codes. Most of the people from both the payee side and the payer side don't have all this information up front, right? What is the international routing code, an IBAN or international bank account number for countries that require it? So these are like complex, questions and that you need to kind of capture, and we do that very well up front and by automating it. And like I said in the presentation, and Sean showed it to you, there are about 26,000 rules that apply basically for the payments to happen. And we kind of like, do that. So that is one of the complexities of managing global payments. Sean talked about the FX conversion as well. So we do that in a single, in a system, you can convert multiple currencies if you fund it in one and then seamlessly flow it in a single system. And then, we do it for you again. It's 190 countries, 120 currencies, 6 different payment methods. So we make it really simple for the consumer, or I would say the payer.
Awesome, thank you, Anand. Next question. I normally pass fees on to my suppliers. Can that be done in Tipalti?
Sean, you want to take that? I think you showed it in detail, but just reiterate that, I think.
Yeah, so for your payees, you can choose by payment method whether you want to pass those fees or whether you want to absorb those fees. So what some of our customers do in similar use cases is they absorb fees for more cost-effective methods and they pass fees for more costly methods. But you have configurability during the implementation process to choose how you structure the payment fees towards your payees.
I would highly recommend at this time, basically, I mean, especially given the current scenario as well, to get off, less optimal ways of payments like checks, for example, right? Working from home is a huge challenge. Who's there to print, fill out the envelopes, put the stamps in and mail it out. This is an ideal time to move off these expensive, non-optimal ways of payments more into electronic payment formats, which are much easier and to not only pay them, but also from the payer's perspective as well.
Awesome, and last question. How does Tipalti help reduce payment error rates?
Yep. So essentially, we kind of like do a great job. I mean, if you look at the system, capturing all the data up front. So as you saw in the demo, we kind of like try to ensure that, for a lack of a better word, let me use the word pristine. So the data is almost pristine when you capture it. It's more accurate when the supplier or the I would say the partner is entering the information themselves. So we capture everything up front, validate that information so to ensure that there are no errors while payments go out. And we also provide them with instant payment notifications. So when the payment happens, they get an email that, hey, the payment has come through. And if there any reason why the payment has not gone through, that is actually sent to them via email, and they can quickly log into the system to check if there is some information missing or there's some error or they've changed their bank information because they're not able to communicate, rather than calling the payer up, and trying to figure out where this error has happened. So that way we, kind of eliminate significant, upfront, error rates basically from the payments perspective as well. And we also do, one of the things I want to touch upon, which Sean talked about, is we do a proactive screening, sanction screening. So if you're on an OFAC list or anti-money laundering list or terrorist watch list somewhere, we capture that information up front and make sure that you don't pay them up front, and then you have to validate that information to ensure that you get paid, basically.
Awesome. Well, that is all that I have for questions. Again, if you think of any, please feel free to email us, info@marketplacerisk.com. Thank you so much, Anand and Sean. We appreciate you sharing all this information. In closing, this is the 11th webinar of the Marketplace Risk webinar series. Stay tuned for more webinars geared toward marketplace startups and the sharing economy. To learn more about the Marketplace Risk blog, roadshows, Slack forum, master's program, and more, Be sure to check out marketplacerisk.com. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you have a great day and be well.